All right, let's dive right in. Today we're going to talk about something a lot of people go through but almost nobody feels ready for. We're talking about how to figure out what your home is actually worth during a divorce, and we're going to focus specifically on how that works right here in Gainesville, Florida.
You know, when a marriage ends, one of the biggest and frankly most emotional questions is, what about the house? For most couples, it's the single biggest thing you own together, and figuring out its true value is really the first step to a fair settlement.
So let's get down to the basics. Here in Florida, the law sees the marital home as a central asset. That means its value has to be divided equitably. And that's not just a suggestion, it's a legal requirement.
Now, to make sure that division is actually fair, the legal system can't just use guesswork or, some online calculator. Courts, attorneys, they all depend on a professional, totally unbiased appraisal to set a clear, fair market value. That number becomes the foundation for everything else.
And this is where things get really important. Not all valuations are created equal. I mean, in a situation as high stakes as a divorce, getting that number right is everything. The method used to get it, well, that matters a whole lot.
Just look at the difference here. On one side, you have those quick online estimates. Sure, they're fast, they're free, but in the eyes of the law, they're pretty much useless. They don't know about the kitchen you just renovated or the roof that needs work, and that unreliability, it can actually cause more arguments. But on the other side, you have a certified divorce appraisal. This is a document that's built to stand up in court. It takes into account local sales, your home's actual condition, all the upgrades, and that ultimately helps calm things down and speed up the whole process.
So, we keep using that word, certified. What does that really mean? It's not just some fancy adjective. It's a professional gold standard, and it's absolutely essential when you're dealing with legal matters.
A certified residential appraiser is someone who has gone through rigorous state requirements for their education and their experience. But the crucial part is this: they are legally bound to follow a strict set of rules called USPAP. That's the Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practice. It's basically the ethical rulebook for every appraiser.
And here's what that actually means for you. A certified appraiser has to be an impartial third party. They have to keep things confidential, use valuation methods that are credible and can be defended, and, this is huge for divorce cases, they have to be ready to go to court and explain their report if it comes to that.
Okay, so you know you need a certified appraiser. Great. The question is, how do you actually find the right one here in Gainesville? Let's break it down into a really simple plan.
Here's a simple 4-step game plan. First, always verify their license with the state. Second, make sure they know Gainesville and Alachua County like the back of their hand. Real estate is super local. Third, you've got to ask them directly, how much experience do you have with divorce cases? And finally, get all the details on costs and timing right up front. No surprises.
And speaking of costs, it helps to have a number in mind. For a pretty standard single-family home here in the Gainesville area, you're likely looking at a fee somewhere in the mid-hundreds. Probably around $500. Just remember, that can change if your property is more complex.
So before you actually hire someone, you'll want to have a little checklist of questions ready to go. This just makes sure you're hiring a real pro who understands the specific needs of a divorce appraisal.
So when you're on the phone, confirm their certification and their local expertise. Ask about their experience with divorce cases. But pay really close attention to that last question about a retrospective appraisal. That's super important if the value needs to be set to a date in the past, like the date you separated. A good appraiser will know exactly what you're talking about.
So, with that checklist in your back pocket, you are totally equipped to find a local specialist who can give you the clarity and the professionalism you really need during a tough time.
And that's the key word here, specialist. The source material really emphasizes finding a firm that doesn't just do general appraisals, but one that really focuses on the tricky details of legal valuations, the kind you need for divorces, estates, things like that.
For example, the source material points to a firm right in Gainesville called Eagle Home Appraisal. This is exactly the kind of practice to look for, one that's zeroed in on these complex, legally required valuations and has a ton of experience in the local market.
And honestly, this quote from the source just nails it. The whole goal is to get a reliable, trusted number as early as you can. It creates a solid foundation to negotiate from, and that almost always leads to a fair outcome with way less stress.
So, as we wrap this up, I'll just leave you with this one thought to chew on. Your home isn't just a house, it's probably your biggest financial asset. So the real question is, Are you protecting its value with an expert opinion that's actually going to hold up when it counts?